Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here. Another pitch perfect weekend of soccer. If you can't tell, it was a good weekend of soccer. My Monday, the start of the show did not end well. I snapped my nice little radio arm in half, so now I have to handhold.
Too strong. No microphone cord can contain him.
Yes, I'm now going to have to freehand I'm trying to hold the microphone as steady as I can. I'm trying to make sure I'm there. But not a great start to the show. Hopefully it's not a harbinger.
Patreon.com/RFK Refugees.
Yes. Put in the comments for Ted's new podcast arm. Podcast microphone arm, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, John, how you doing, my friend? How was your weekend? I hope it was good.
It was not bad. 6 points from the teams that we can't pay attention to is a big win for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
It was good. I went to Richmond. I unfortunately did not check out the Richmond Ivy game. 6,000 fans apparently
everybody else did,
at City Stadium. Yeah. No, my wife had some friends who were graduating law school, so she decided to return to the law school to see them graduate. And then we went out and celebrated with them, and then it was about, I think, close to the kickoff, and we were kind of tired, so we just decided to just to go back home and watch DC. And it was a good choice. I think it was certainly a good experience and a good win for DC. So let's jump right into it. Let's not hold back. DC United going down to the road against Atlanta United, a place that has been, pre Mercedes-Benz Stadium, pretty good. Post Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I think I said in my preview, and I feel very confident saying this, I think they've had one win, which was during the COVID era, the COVID game in 2020. I very much remember that. I think they won 2-1 off a goal from that guy from Boca we signed for a week or something like that. I can't remember his name. Pretty sure he had a goal in that game.
Juan Chope.
Yeah, that's it.
The other game we beat them at Audi. The goal was by the guy that we signed from Iran. I think was he scored a 90th minute winner. His name was Gelman Rivas.
Yeah, Gelman Rivas. Yeah. So just it's been bad. It's been bad for DC at Audi Field. John and I were actually at the game last year. John was traveling for work and just happened to be in Atlanta staying over. I went on a predetermined trip with my dad, and so it was a lucky event. So we got to experience what that game was like, and we won't rehash it. I think we talked about it. Go back and listen to that show. But that is an atmosphere. Feels completely different from what you get at Audi Field. All due respect to Audi Field, all due respect to the fans and everybody. The atmosphere, it's just different when there's 40,000-50,000 people in an enclosed stadium. It feels different. The way they, what they're able to do with the technology there is very impressive. It feels very different, almost like a different league. But DC go in there and they get a 3-2 win, taking advantage for once of a team that is struggling. I predicted a 3-1 loss in my predictions, and I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep hammering away at the negative predictions because gosh darn it, it's working, and I'm going to keep it up. And as soon as I predicted them to win, that's when they lost.
Yeah, so make sure they lose. Make sure they lose on Wednesday. Make sure you get really pessimistic.
7-0 New York Red Bulls. There's going to be a slaughter. There we go. But a 3-2 win. Let's start with, first of all, the scoreline 3-2. And they got, I've been sort of reading around, obviously Benteke hat trick, but
Christian Benteke 3, Atlanta United 2.
Yes. But this was a scoreline that really flattered Atlanta United because this game should have been 3-0, 3-1. DC United were the far superior side. If you go look at the XG, you will see, I think, 2 point something to 1 point something. So DC beat obviously you score 3 goals, you're probably going to have a pretty decently high XG, probably 1.5 to 2 range. Usually is sometimes what you see. But the fact that you look at it and say, maybe it's a little bit closer, the 1.2, you forget the fact that Atlanta had a PK. I looked at the open play XG. Anytime there's a PK, look at the XG stat, but also then you need to kind of almost subtract 0.8, 0.9 XG, whatever the figure is for. I think it's different between leagues. They have all these math and numbers on what that means. But basically, DC held Atlanta United with Thiago Almada, World Cup winner, Gakamakes, all intents and purposes, a striker that has been very, very good. Held them to like, I think I saw MLS gate was maybe a little flattering and gave like 0.6 something like XG. The numbers I had were closer to like 0.4, 0.5 over on FootMob. I mean, this was an absolutely 100% dominant performance. I think if we want to talk about like crown jewel of Troy Lesesne era, like this was a game where DC came out, they executed, they had an idea of how they wanted to play. Atlanta United clearly didn't. And DC were rewarded from it. So I've talked enough. What like any sort of thoughts you had about this?
To your point, it should have been more than that because DC United missed 3 big chances and Atlanta missed 0 because again they were barely in the game. They had the ball, but it didn't seem to matter too much at all whatsoever. I think this is the first thing you said is the biggest thing. Is that typically when there's a wounded dog, we do not finish. Well, that's a horrible analogy. When there's an opportunity to take advantage of a situation, we always do the opposite. It's just invariably we play down to whatever the situation is. And this time they really didn't. They once again went back with a 3-man back line. We could talk about that.
Yep.
They had a full complement of bench. We could talk about that. This is the first time other than Russell Canals where everyone was available for selection. I think they probably even had to leave somebody at home for the first time.
Yeah.
So that's like actual soccer team. Yeah. I mean, I think we could talk about the specifics, but really, I mean, when you look at the full, I mean, even the fact that all 3 goals were Benteke, okay, all 3 goals were headed, okay, it was very much like we have a thing that's working here. Atlanta has no real counteraction to it. They have no physical matchups to offset it, and DC United had them playing the way they wanted to. They were not giving them dangerous opportunities. They weren't getting hurt on the counter, which is the way that often happens. I don't know. It was just it was, to your point, probably the crown jewel in the early Lesesne era. And I think I said 2-2 when I did my my podcast prediction.
Yeah, I just had in my head, I'm like, it's probably going to be a game where they. I just had this feeling in my head that it wasn't going to go well. The player, oddly enough, I think they left home. It looks like as they left Steve Birnbaum at home. He was not listed on the 18-man roster.
Which tracks with the pre-match stuff in the beginning, like when someone was like turf, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, none of that. We will not be doing that."
We're not gonna play it on him. So obviously you talked about the 3-5-2. It's sort of the second time we've seen this. Peltola kind of being on the as sort of the reserve defender. I think as sort of the third center back, which is really the only way you can work. Everybody's like, well, what if you play him at 2 center back? Like, it won't work. It will not work. You need those 2 physical center backs, either Birnbaum, McVeigh or Bartlett. Pick 2 of those 3. They have to be there on this back line for this work. It won't work if Peltola is there. But I thought Peltola had some good moments. Obviously, he gets the unfortunate own goal. I'm not going to talk too much, I guess, about.
You should get XG for that. I was just noticing it at 0.01. There should be a defensive XG.
Maybe. Kind of an unfortunate little bouncer. I don't know if you can really put too much on it. He's trying to make a block on the ball. It's just unfortunate bounce. But and then we talk about Jackson Hopkins, who's maybe starting to show a little bit, kind of settling into that sort of like hybrid, just center midfield role. Like you don't have Click's going to handle like the primary attack. Peltola is going to back you up on defense. Just, be that destroyer, be that guy in the middle, and, find some outlets out wide. Is kind of basically the role he's settled into.
In my Jared Jeffrey analogy that I'm determined to make fit, he also will shoot from 25, 30 yards every single game.
And he's going to hit one of those. I feel like he is going to.
He really is going to. Similar to Junior Moreno, it's like the 6 DC United gene. They're just like, listen, I don't get to play, so I don't get to have fun. I'm just gonna rip it when I can.
Yeah. Other, we'll get to Benteke a little bit. I want to save him a little bit. Sort of some other performances. Let's talk about
Stroud.
Yeah, the Jared Stroud. Let's talk about that right side. Aaron Herrera, Jared Stroud. Really, just the first half was just like DC just kind of hit that right side. Like they got the ball through the middle. They maybe tried some avenues on the left, but basically it was just like find Herrera, find Stroud on the right side. Stroud was absolutely electric. Obviously picks up the 2 assists on Benteke's goals. Yeah, on the first 2 goals at least. Just wonderful play from him. it amazes me how much, like, when we first picked him up, it's like, all right, he'll be a solid piece. But I mean, he's really just grabbed a hold of that starting job. He has 6 assists so far this year. I would not be surprised if all of them are
7.
7. Oh, sorry. FootMob is wrong then.
Yep.
FootMob is
DC
wrong.
United website's got 7. Plus he has a goal, so he's got 8 goal contributions so far this season.
So I mean, other than Benteke, I mean, the most prolific offensive player, ahead of Click. We'll give Click a little bit of leeway because Click is playing a little bit more deeper than I think maybe you would anticipate him to be, even though I think that is his best role. So, and also just
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying it's very funny that we have a player with 7 assists, a player with 6 assists, and then nobody with more than 1 goal behind Benteke. So it's like everyone's good at assisting Benteke and no one else.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's well, first before we get into Benteke, I want to ask Ted Kudapietro,
man,
kind of had some moments though. I will say he showed some
talented.
skill. Yeah, he showed some skill. There was a nice little dribble down the midline, I felt. He had a nice little run there. I guess we got what was interesting about we got Jacob Muriel and we got Ted Kudapietro. These are the two guys that are kind of vying for that, second striker behind Benteke, basically. Like, I would say that position is wide open now. Jacob Muriel had kind of like the first, the great play against Seattle, and then of course the goal against Philly. I don't think he had a moment and he just could not bury the chance. I think Ted Kudapietro also had a moment in the first half that he didn't really do the best with. So both players kind of just like, it was kind of just like, all right, it's still an open question. I'll be curious to see who starts. I would say, I think I give a little plus to Ted because I think what we're seeing from Jacob Muriel is that he is a fox in the box type finisher. He is going to make the run, get the touch on the ball. Ted Kudapietro is the guy that can sort of move on the dribble, and he's the guy who can kind of beat guys on the dribble. He can maybe play that outlet pass. He can do things like that a lot of other players can't really see. So I think right now he still has the upper hand based on just pure skill, and really it's a question for him. It's health. Is can he stay healthy? Where do you fall on the debate? I'm curious. You've been a little bit down on Mr. Kudapietro as of late.
I mean, he needs to play like 5 games in a row before I talk about anything. He just doesn't feature right now. He's got to be healthy for a while. I think that's what's hurting his productivity, right? It's just there's going to be moments. There was a play where he picked up the ball in midfield and cut through the entire defense and couldn't convert, but no one else on the team can do that.
Yeah.
So he's the only one that can do that. You give allowances to players with special talent. So I think that it's a matter of stay healthy, put the ball in the back of the net once or twice, and then we can start talking about it. But, Muriel needs some more time. I think he should get some more opportunities too. But I also think that this team, if it's serious, needs to be signing another goal-scoring threat.
Yeah, I would agree.
In the window, like without a doubt.
You got the U22 slide. Yeah, you gotta divest. Divest on some of this talent that was there. Was Martin Rodriguez? Yeah, he was there. Okay, so yeah, so I think I put a try. I'll be curious to see if Extra Time talks about it. But I mean, a performance like this, I think, is one you look at from Troy Lesesne and you say, this is something that a coach of the year is doing. Like, I mean, again, we talked about it over and over. I won't hit it, but just what you look at what a coach like Gonzalo Pineda has been gifted with, a World Cup champion. Giacomakis, a great striker, like talent all over, and the ability to bring in like a Dax McCarty off the bench, who's still an older player, but still a very, talented player. And, we have to bring on a USL guy, a draft pick, a U22 guy who's kind of meh, and over, really a very aging Pedro Santos, and Garrison Tubbs, an unproven, defender. So like the talent and what he's having to deal with, and the fact that he was able to basically just really run Atlanta off the field in his own on their own turf. So let's talk about the man of the hour. Let's talk about Benteke. 3 goals, 3-headed goals. I thought it was interesting. I think I read a little bit of Pineda's comments, and he was basically like, yeah, I didn't really know how I was going to defend him. Like, I was basically just like, he's going to win the ball. We have to win the second ball. It doesn't really help when he's winning the header, 8 yards from goal, or 6 yards from goal. But just a dominating performance from him.
It would seem to me then that maybe they should have focused on limiting crosses. They should have maybe focused on, maybe that was a good idea. I don't know. But those were, they were in transition, so they weren't really able
off
to.
A set piece.
I'm talking about the ones that were, open play. But anyway, I think I am really kind of shocked that we've not heard him be fired this week. Atlanta fans they're in the streets, man. They're over this.
Yeah. It's not like he just got there either.
No.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's been some talk about how, I think at one point there were a lot of coaches being let go and being fired. And I think maybe there's some holding back a little bit. But yeah, it just looked like they were just not ready for this game. And DC was very much the team that was ready for this game. And I guess another thing, go watch, I think it's Ben Wright and Matt Doyle post sort of two videos of the build up to those goals. And I guess what really impressed, the second one especially, is, we talk about this team, we've talked about moments about, what makes this team different. We've had pressing teams in the past, and we talk about what a different type of press is. Go watch some of the goals that we scored under like Hernan Losada, for instance. Those were like quick smash mouth, type goals. They were just like move the ball, get the ball quickly, hit with pace, hit with power, shoot when you get the opportunity. Go watch that second goal. You can see how the team does play direct. So they get the ball direct, then they get it into their third of the field, and then you see them kind of pass it, move it along. They're not looking immediately just to go for goal. It's very much a sort of, they're going to get the ball upfield so they can establish their press. They basically bypass the entire Atlanta midfield, got the ball into space, and then pass and move. We've seen that now twice. We saw it in the game against Atlanta. Like just the sort of the way this team is able to sort of build up goals. They're making 11, 10, 12 pass goals now, which is like wild to think about. It is why I think that this style of pressing is more sustainable, because you do have those moments where you kind of can slow the game down, maybe try a little pass, try some movement, and still be able to look to generate opportunities. So just go watch it. Look up Ben Wright. We'll maybe throw a link up into the show notes, but go watch it. It's certainly worth, I think we all get in the game. We kind of forget about some of those moments, but just watch the passing sequence. It's pretty good. Anything else you want to talk about? Any sort of bad? I mean, McVay gives it the PK, but what do you say about the situation like that? Don't do it. Okay. That's easy to say.
Which one?
The PK.
Don't foul him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it was. I don't think it was a big deal. The timing wasn't great. McVay, it was not the worst PK we've conceded this year.
Yeah.
It was not. I think it was a penalty, but it wasn't too egregious. I think. I don't know. I didn't have too big of a problem with that. I'm trying to think about what if I look at this team and the performance that they had, if I had any real gripes. And that we talked about Ted. I think that's maybe and it's like he still did things, but it wasn't a full performance. I don't really have anything to say. Herrera did well, as Herrera is a 7-6 every week. It is the most consistent performer on the club. I think that when he and Stroud are linking up, to your point, like the overloads are going to happen every time on that way. That's where they're going to force the ball.
40 to 50%, like the little graph they show where they show our lines, it's going to be that right side. So if you want to shut us down, force us through the middle,
yes.
Or force us down the left with maybe with Dahomey, basically.
Hopefully no one listens to our podcast so that they don't know
that. But yeah, no, it was just a really good performance, I felt, all around from this team. The gripes are small. The goals they gave up were unfortunate, and the way the team just kind of, got the lead back. And then also, full credit to them, they got the lead with about, I'm going to look up when did the third Benteke goal happened. Let me see. I know it was 55th minute. So they had, 40 some minutes. They had to almost, and probably stoppage time, 45 minutes. They had to hold on, and they had to hold on to this lead. And they did a very effective job, really limiting the chances.
Look at the momentum chart. Look at the momentum chart for the second half. We're on the bottom, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was, they did have much of the threat, but again, I think by threat, I mean, they had much of the ball.
Yeah.
They didn't have dangerous chances. So
yeah, look at the Football outlines 5 big chances. They had 1 big chance. Total shots were even 15. I'm willing to bet. You look at the XG of some of those chances, and they would be, maybe yes, they were on goal, but they were not threats. And I think it speaks to the fact, that you look at how they got their goals. Now, sometimes, own goals are indicators of, good play. We'll talk a little bit about a DC team that benefited from an own goal that did come from, actually forcing the issue, so to speak. But this was kind of sort of hopeful cross, just odd deflection, goes into the back of the net. I think it's a little unfortunate this team couldn't maybe put away a game like this where they get a multiple goal win. But I think this is kind of who this team is at this point. They are not going to be a team that is going to run away with games, dominate play. They are going to be a team that is going to effectively manage a game. They're going to when they play well and they impose their will, they're going to have a chance at 3 points. It doesn't mean they're going to blow the doors off a team, but they are going to put themselves with a chance. And we talk a lot about this team building a culture, building an identity. The identity and culture is here, in my opinion. I think it's here after the first few months of the season. Maybe I'm jumping the gun, but
they've got a big test coming this whole month. I think what you want to do is you want to raise the floor. So even on games where it's not going well, you're never going to lose 7-6-0 again.
Oh yeah.
That's not going to happen. So I think that's important, right? Like what's the worst this game could be? And then if you're actually competitive at points, I think the thing that needs to be fixed, and I don't know how it's going to be, it won't be fixed till the window, is that no team can be this dependent on one player and be successful. You just can't do that.
Yeah, I think, I was going to ask you a question. Who do you think breaks? All right, I'm going to give you 3 players that have a goal right here that start regularly. We have Jared Stroud, Ted Kudipietro, Mateus Click. I'll throw in a 4th. I'll throw in Jacob Muriel because he's kind of broke the seal. Which player do you think ends up with the second goal first?
Muriel.
I'm going with Ted.
Okay.
I'm backing Ted. I think
you should.
I think he picks up a second goal. I think the secondary scoring will come. They are picking up the chances. Right now, I find it very difficult to believe there is anybody on that field that any sort of MLS style defender that can really manage with the way DC is playing, how they move direct and quickly, and how they sort of are able to sort of hold the ball up a little bit. And they're able to maybe allow Benteke to move around to sort of, honestly, it feels weird to say he can disappear, but that's what happened in this game is DC held the ball up enough where he kind of disappeared from a certain moment. The second goal comes from a deflection and Atlanta loses track of him for a second. And, Jared Stroud puts that one on a rope.
Really bad center back play by Atlanta. There's one guy you got to watch on the field. There's one dude that you can't let disappear. And
yeah.
We got some questions in the Discord, which recommend everyone should join that. Esberg says, question for the pod. What would it take for Benteke to be a serious contender for league MVP? Someone already answered in the chat. Messi announcing his retirement immediately. That is
Messi season-ending injury, now.
That's about it. And then he would have to keep. And then you would have to keep doing this. I think it is cool that, and I think it's probably there's lots of reasons for this. It's funny how much the fan base is backing Benteke, and then Ola Kamara exists, and like honestly, like very similar output, very similar as far as like you needing volume opportunities. Although Benteke has like the one overwhelming physical advantage that contributes to many of his goals, most of his goals being scored with his head. But it is just funny to me that like we had these two players and the opinion is so split. People probably wouldn't even talk. I bet you like Ola Kamara is not on anyone's brain anymore at all.
No.
But anyway,
but and to that point, I think it's a little bit more Benteke, with his ability to win the ball in the air, gives you something to further up the field from just being a goal scorer. And what he allows you to do is he allows you to win that first ball. That ball goes up in the air. it's to him. He has an amazing ability just to time it. And that's been what's been talked about. He's more than just, he uses his he has a physical gift that he is taller than anybody else in the field, but also his timing is almost immaculate. Every single time he is going to jump at the exact right time. And you either have to time it exactly right with him, and even if you time it right, you might not even be able to jump as high as he is. But he sort of also brings that trait. We've had a lot of jokes over the years about hold up play from forwards, and they hold up play from defensive forwards. What he is, and what I think Troy's sort of unlocked is what he's realized is, and this is something Rooney could never do. He did this, last year with DC. The ball would go in the air, they would play direct, he would win the ball, find somebody else on the field. What's different now is that he is doing those types of things, laying it off to another player, and then DC actually has the system and style to move the ball around, not to go directly to goal, but kind of move it around a little bit enough where then he can drift back into the box for that second ball. I think you go watch both goals. He has a hold up move, I believe, on both goals, and then he is freed from that. The team sort of can pass it around. They can sort of stretch the defense. They can move him around, and then he can sort of drift in between the space. And then, a lot of Stroud talks about it. I think Click talks about it. I think everybody's in the post game kind of talked about it. They said, look, sometimes we just get up and like, you know what? Let's just hit a ball over the top. If we get it in a certain spot, we know that Benteke is there to win the header. So it's a little bit more with Benteke than just those goal scoring and the heading. There's a lot more that goes into play. Sure. Also, a lot more with his feet as well. And I wrote about this. There was a couple moments where he not only can sort of, we think of like some of these tall, lanky guys that can't dribble. He can dribble. You've seen him move the ball around. He can at least get the ball. He can use his size, physical size as well to hold off play. I think there was a moment where there was like two Atlanta players like cornering him, and he really didn't have any type of move, and he managed to get around both of them and open the play up for another player. So I think it might have turned into Click's goal. I might be fusing, or Click shot, I should say. Might be fusing the two, but just, he's a very different type of player. Ola Kamara, I love him to death. He was a goal scorer. He was just going to be the number 9, go score the goal. So
another question from a similar area. I mean, obviously, what else are you going to ask questions about after this weekend? It's going to be this. From 42 says ball plus cross plus Benteke in the box equals goal is a formula that seems to be working out well for us. What kind of variables should we be anticipating for other teams to invalidate this equation? We've been hit on transition, conceded sloppy penalties, made bad attacking sequences, but that's one aspect of our game that no one has been able to defend against when done right. I think we kind of already talked about this, is that if in a world where you're able to knock Herrera and Stroud out of the game from being functional, then you might have something, because it's not coming up the middle is not going to give you those chances. So that's probably it. I don't know what else you'd do.
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, if they're able to get even a couple crosses in, it's going to find Benteke. I would argue that I think the team. I feel like with Muriel, if Ted Pietro can stay healthy, you can get that kind of secondary. Okay, we're not going to get it from Benteke, but maybe we can force it down the middle, and then it collapses teams inward, and then you get that width outside where you can then look for those crosses. So,
speaking, Jason here is someone we talked about already. What do we do with Ted at this point? He's electric when he's on, but the injuries and finishing are becoming concerning. I don't want to. Hopefully, I'm not creating a narrative here for our listeners. Like, he's got a long leash. My concern is more about his long-term suitability, right? And also the lack of other options. I feel like you could not put this one on Mackay as far as like this was not well, they've trusted Ted, so they didn't bring anybody else in as a secondary scorer, because it was literally this offseason was just trying to make it work, trying to figure out, get leadership in place, make the couple trades that you can make. Herrera being an MVP move. The moves they did make were budget conscious.
And they've worked.
And they've all worked 100%. But proven goal scorer is typically not a budget-friendly move. That's not really what they had room to do. So I would say give him a lot more leash as far as like worrying about cutting bait on him or anything like that, or like not re-signing him. I think you absolutely do. But as we've said in the show and many times before, you absolutely in the window cannot see his presence as an impediment to signing a player that plays either in his position or a goal scorer at all. That's I think what you need to do. You can't worry about it. He's not been as consistent a presence as needed to be like, well, clearly we can't sign another goal scoring, a creative midfielding player. That's no way. That's Ted.
Yeah. So I think that's a fair statement. I think you go out, you get it probably will at this point only be like a U22 slot.
This summer anyway.
Yeah, it'll be either U22 and I think that's dependent. Also, they've got a lot of contract they've got to get it. Martin Riga has been dropping hints that that Colo Colo is his calling. So
bye.
I would say if he has a contract waiting for him, exercise it now. Yeah,
go for it. We talked about this on last couple shows about our DPs and the situation we have with Maddie being a third young DP and that being important so that you can utilize, or previously being important so that you could utilize all 3 under 22 spots. That has changed, correct? That was one of the elements that is no longer. So do you think there's a way to get him bought down to a regular under 22 spot or a TAM deal so that you can then sign another overage DP, or is that not possible?
I don't know what the rules dictate. Maybe you could look to slot him into that U22 slot. I don't know if MLS gives you that flexibility where you can have him as a young designated player, but then can also play him as a U22.
Right.
I will say that you would erase some of the benefit you get from the U22 slot is that you can spend whatever you want on a transfer fee to bring in a talented player. To then, I think the U20, and also I will say as well, I think he has to stay U22 slot because I am willing to bet he is making as a salary, he is making above the $500,000. He has to be.
Do you think that's? Do you think
he could be bought down with TAM? He could be bought down with TAM.
He needs to be. Do you think he's value for dollar at that price compared to maybe other potential players in that spot? I think. He's very good.
Yeah,
and I think he needs to be in the team. But because of this stupid salary cap and all of the machinations, like you start to think about, like, all right, other 2 DPs are indispensable, chance creating, like 2 of the best players in the field every single game, no matter what. That's what you're buying with that spot. And then the question is, like, could you maybe open up a spot in some way through some mechanism to get another player like that in? Something to think about, because when you say,
if it's there, I think maybe you consider it. I think you consider it
because the reasoning to say we've got to keep those the benefit of the under 22 spots is that you can spend as much as you want on transfers. You can. We're not the team that's going to spend $7 million on an under 22 that's unproven for that slot. We just won't, because Pirani is a good example of us not doing that.
Right. The other argument is that you spend $7 million on a player, that player's not going to want to play for $500,000. Like, this is literally just like, you're talking, I think at most $4 or $5 million on a transfer fee at most to then bring in a guy who can actually fit under that salary constraint. Because if you pay that much for a player, that player is also gonna be like, well, you're paying that much for me, you got to also pay me a lot. So there's an inverse equation there. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
Fine.
I keep interrupting you.
Another question, last question that we have on our Discord. EJ Evers says, what are your thoughts on the various formations we've tried out so far? What do you think we should be favoring going forward?
3-5-2.
You like that one the best?
I really like this. I mean, the way we've played, I talked about in my original preview piece, I talked about watching Petula as a third center back for HJK in that one game. I felt he was able to impact the game more coming from that center back position than maybe he is higher up the field, because I think he gives you his passing ability, his ability to break lines and break pressure are maybe a little bit more valuable from that role. And what you want to do is kind of a pressing team and sort of hold the line. And I think it also helps us in general hold up against some of the counterattacking we've seen, and the ability of teams to sort of beat us back on the counterattack. So I'm kind of for that rule. Mm-hmm.
What if he was not available through injury or suspension? Could you see this team still working with what they have in the back line or with 3? Do
you think Connor Antley's healthy? I think it could work. And I think also too, you talk about it, the role that it gives, I think, Jackson Hopkins in elevating him, giving him, and I think, eventually maybe you got to ask the question, do you need the training wheels on him? And the 2 training wheels are Mateus Click or Petula or Connor Antley. They're training wheels. Like they're basically like, we don't trust you to be the out and out, hold the line center defensive midfielder, but we're going to stick you in the middle, kind of in a more defensive role. Maybe you kind of interchange a little bit with Click on who presses forward on occasion. But your goal is basically to just be that support guy. But again, maybe some point you got to take those training wheels off. But if he gets him on the field, maybe I'm happy with that.
I think he's becoming kind of indispensable, which is kind of hilarious as far as that formation working.
Yeah.
What other player goes there and allows Peltola to be able, be his impact? There's not really another player you put in there. So
Knaus, maybe.
Knaus at next year.
Yeah.
So Jackson Hopkins has somehow, walked backwards into this team into a place where there's not really a place they're going to have to keep him in the team. So he's going to get more minutes this year than he's going to ever have gotten before in a position that he would never have expected to be in. It's kind of a funny, quirk of life that's how that happened.
Yeah. But again, I think the 3-5-2 has been good. I think we've highlighted it a lot in the beginning of the year about, we thought that's the formation that fit. Matt Doyle highlighted it in his preview. He was like, I don't see anywhere else you can play this team. And I think Petula works best as a third center back. You might want to play further up the field, but I think he can still have an impact on the game, even from that role. And I think he even has an even greater sized impact for his skill set.
So that's all of our questions.
Yeah. Good win. Preview coming up against New York. New York are a very, very good team this year. I got to ask, it was interesting. Wednesday, we've talked a lot about the dying or the dead rivalry between DC and the New York Red Bulls. And every time there's a rivalry week, it's always like New York City, New York Red Bulls. That's the main rivalry. And DC Red Bull just kind of gets tossed to the side. They've tried to force us into a rivalry with Philly. I think there's something to be said. I think a rivalry with Atlanta might actually be a little bit more potential, have a bit more potential than DC, considering some of the history there. But this is, you look at the moment, you've got New York Red Bulls, a team that is, finally starting to put it together a little bit. They're finally starting to be sort of one of those contenders in the Eastern Conference. And you've got DC United, a team that's finally broken through, a decade of just no change in the front office, trying the same thing. And I'm wondering if this might be, this might be the moment. We had a glimpse of it last year in sort of that, was it 4-3 Red Bulls DC thriller that basically killed DC's chances at a playoff spot. That's where their playoff chances went to die. Is this a moment maybe where that rivalry can start to come back and can start to build some of those moments?
They're certainly a better team than I want them to be.
Yeah.
It will be it is going to be a really good game to watch. It's going to tell both sets of fans a lot about who the other team is and what this rivalry looks like. I mean, I will be interested to see, right? There's been a lot of turnover in both of these clubs, and the fan base has kind of had a couple years where they just they weren't a threat to each other. So if this is like a spicy game, this is really good for the league and for both of these fan bases. And I think, I was talking about when they played Inter Miami, got spanked 6-2. I was like, reverse lock. And then they beat New England, put 4 past New England. So they're a good team. They can score. All the players that they've been signing this offseason, Lewis Morgan going there and being healthy is big. I think, Emil Forsberg, most of his goals seem to have been penalties. I think. I don't have.
Yeah, he's still had an impact, I think, on this team. And Lewis Morgan's been really great. Dante Van Zier, we all know what happened last year with him. And it's been well documented and well admitted, but he has been very good for the team on his play on the field.
Chances created of midfielders.
Yeah, so he's been really good. He's been really good. So, and then of course Emil Forsberg, obviously the crazy story about him and how he kind of just ghosted his whole family. Yeah, that was strange times. By the way, you want to talk about a team that might. I think this will also give an answer. I was just curious. I was like, how tall are their center backs? FootMob has centimeters. So they have Benteke at 190 centimeters. They have Noah Ellie at 195 centimeters and Sean Nealis at 193. So they've got big, tall center backs. And I guarantee you the play is going to be stick both of them right on Benteke and do not allow him to do anything. So that's going to be it's going to be a fun match. It's more, we talked about earlier, it's more than just his size. It's his ability to time it. So, I think you're right. I think this is going to be an entertaining match. I think this is an important match. I think for DC also, I mean, you get that win. You're going on the road to Inter Miami, where Inter Miami are just, it's not even a joke at this point. And
throw all of your bullets at this one. Throw them all. Yeah. Throw it, and then.
I know we're tired about talking about Lionel Messi and what he does for this team, but go watch some of their games and you will see the impact he has on the fields. It can't be measured. He's the MVP. I love what Benteke is doing for DC, but Lionel Messi so far is the MVP, and it shows in everything he does out there on the field.
This game is also the battle of the Stroud brothers, so there's that.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, so I think it's going to be a fun match. I'm looking forward to it. So
I was thinking about going. I fly in from Austin on Wednesday night at like 6:00, and if it was in the DCA, I would absolutely be going to this game. But it is not. I was like, I'm not getting over there in an hour at that time. That's not happening. So I'll be watching that I'll be listening to Dave Johnson for that game on the way home.
Hey man, Dave Johnson's been clutch. I was like driving back from the game and was able to just
throw it on the radio. Is it on like the app? I have to do like a download.
It's iHeartRadio, and it's like I'll send you the screenshot later.
Cool,
it's like 111 Sports. So yeah, I'll send it to you. It's pretty easy to find. All right, I think that's gonna do it. Let's shift gears. Let's switch gears to the Washington Spirit. Washington Spirit 2-1 victors. A little bit less of a comfortable game, I'll say. Like this game was fun. This game was kind of the Spirit game was like oddly not as fun as it has been. I feel like I watch Spirit games and like there's the passing, there's the movement, there's the opportunities, chances. This game was like kind of like a rock fight in a way between these two teams. Like just not the field was. I just want to say this: like the field was so bad. Like I don't know if you have.
Good.
So I know Louisville is a smaller market. They're a team that owns a USL championship team. They're a team that also owns this NWSL team. They built the stadium, but I'm like, I can't. I look at some of these stadiums and I feel like maybe it wasn't talked about a whole lot. And I was just like, this field looks terrible. Like it does not look like anyone is comfortable playing on it. There's missed passes, there's missed possessions, miscued. Mickey Owen, I thought, had kind of a rough night. Obviously gives it the PK and then has another moment where she kind of like sort of misplays a pass and then literally has to dive, foul the player. I think she's very lucky she did not get a yellow card. And she saw the foul. I was like, I was shocked she did not get a yellow card. But yeah, just an ugly sort of game, but an ugly game where the Spirit pick up 3 points and are, sort of off a road split that saw them go to Chicago, Portland, and Louisville. They picked up 6 out of 9 points. I don't think you can really complain about that. That's a pretty good haul of points.
Foot Mob agrees with you, by the way. This is her worst performance since September 3rd, 2023 against Chicago, a 2-0 loss. But I think that too, it's important to look at the difference in the roster between this game and the Portland game. They on rotated, which meant Hatch gets back on the field to start. Hal Hirschfeld gets back on the field to start. Kate Wiesner stays in the side after Casey Kruger is still sort of dealing with something. Hal Hirschfeld is so indispensable. It is wild to me.
She was great.
I think, I was trying to think about, Paige Mateer's. I was like, is it a fall from grace? Is it a sophomore slump? And I just think that like so much more is being asked in this formation to be a physical ball winning midfielder with the Andy partnership. And I think Paige had more skill dribbling along the side, being like sort of a wide midfielder. And I think she's just struggling. She just played very poorly in her last start. So I think Hal has become similar to the way Paige was indispensable for Mark Parsons. Hal needs to be playing every game for as many minutes as possible. And they need to maybe sub her out more. They got to watch some of these minutes. I think this month is going to be a little gnarly, so they should watch that. But yeah, I think other than that, Ashley Hatch had an uneven match from my perspective. Was more of a factor on the wing, which has been the criticism that she disappears and it makes the left side of the field basically a ghost town and makes it entirely the Trinity Rodman show. She had more dribbles. She had the most dribbles in the match. She didn't get any shots on target. She had an opportunity on goal in the first half that she skied over the crossbar that was wide open and a great cross from Trinity. And she did not. I think her confidence is probably pretty low at the moment. She's not where she's used to being. I think Ule Sar had another uneven match. She got the goal that was like an own goal, but she made it happen. Obviously, the winning goal. But this was not her. It was not her best match. To your point, rock fight. This was not this. This was a bad match played on a bad field, and they did their best to sort of they did their best to get through it, both sides. But she was not. Her pressing was not as good as it normally was. Because the field was so bad, her sort of interplay passing wasn't very good. It's just, I don't know. I was looking at that lineup and saying, like, when Lacey Santos gets here, like, it seems to me the obvious move is to put Hatch in the 9 and then put Santos on the left side. Because other than that, you can't put Croy and Santos on the field at the same time, and you can't take Croy off the field.
Yeah, you can't. Four goals, 4 assists. I believe she is like, that's like I saw somewhere there was like, was that like a rookie record or something like that to like start the season, or like
she's in the conversation for not just rookie of the year, but potentially MVP.
Yeah,
she needs to, she's not at the top, but she's in the conversation. She's in the conversation about potential call up to the Olympics. She has just had an amazing early part of her career. It's just kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, I want her to make the Olympics. Obviously, I think that would be big for her. But for selfish reasons, I'm like, please do not.
Oh, I'm a hater, man. I don't want any of these players to get called up. I'm the worst. I'm the absolute worst.
I think the players want to make the Olympics, so I mean, I want to support them in that regard. Yeah, but I thought she, even in sort of limited the field conditions, I thought she still had some moments in this game where she showed just her ability to pass, to move. I will say this is a game I feel like that was won from the 2 center midfielders between Andy Sullivan and Hal Hirschfeld. They made this game. They helped limit, a player like DeMello, who, again, had
other than her screamer
free kick, which again came from, I think, a Mickey foul. I can say that with pretty good confidence. And also the PK came from Mickey. But just those 2 players in the midfield kept essentially Racing Louisville from kind of overrunning the team or basically being able to do what they wanted to do. So I thought they were both excellent, and part of the reason why this team walked away with 3 points. I don't think they would have otherwise.
Kingsbury gets the penalty save and the follow-up save, which I think is great because I've sort of criticized her penalty shot stopping ability as of late. So great for her to get that happening. Kate Wiesner, I mentioned her sort of stepping in. This is probably her best match. Everyone has talked about how she was like the best college left back, and she has the body for it. Like, I think, remind me too, when we were talking to Andy Sullivan at the beginning of the year, that Kate is like the new Paige as far as like jacked players. She is hard to get around. She is very, very good at boxing out players that are trying to like on the end line try to get around. She's very physical, and I think that this was another first round draft pick, right? Or was it second round draft pick?
I feel like I have to go back and look.
I'm not sure, but it was an early round pick, and it was said to be a steal. I think we're still short in center back, but I think on the outside with Wiesner, Carl, and Kruger making up, the 3 of those, and they can all play on either side. That they're pretty set there. They don't need any backup there.
Yeah, that's 9 of 9, 100% on ground duels, 0-2 on aerial duels, but we won't give too much of that.
No, she's just
4 or 5 tackles, 1. So she was all over the place in on that left side. And that's good to see. I mean, we talked about this draft, like, this team needed to hit on the draft. They need to have and they did. Like, I mean, I think it's, Corey Bethune is basically like I have to go back and look. I want to see how those numbers compare to Ashley Sanchez. That's what the comparison's going to be.
She's higher. Sanchez is having also a goat of a season already for Courage, but that's okay. Good. That's the best case scenario. I'm glad for both of them.
Yeah, maybe there's some. Do we have? I wonder if we had any stipulations on the contract or on the trade, whether we could get some more if she has a good year. So we'll have to see. But yeah, good for her. I think we found a excellent player that's going to fit the system in Croy Bethune. I think that's been good to see. So
big
kind of a quiet game for Trinity Rodman. She had some moments, but I think really just wasn't maybe as impactful as maybe she could have been.
She should have had an assist from Ashley Hatch, but that didn't turn out that way.
Yeah. So
big game this Saturday. Angel City coming to town. Angel City currently sitting well below the Spirit in ninth with a -3 goal differential. They are. There's still no Kristen Press continues to. They made trades in the before the roster window closed in order to give space for Kristen Press to come back. She has yet to come back. It will not be this weekend, so don't worry there if anyone's concerned about that happening. It will not be the case. But this is games on Ion. I'll be there in person for first game at Audi in a while. But they lost 1-0 against Houston. Houston, which is the unmitigated dumpster fire of NWSL this season. I think Paige Nielsen wins it in the 90th +8.
Paige Nielsen, yep.
who that's had to be her, right? Player of the match. So Angel City not coming in on a lot of confidence here. And that was that last night that the game was? I think it was.
So. Yeah.
So they're coming in on short rest, coming in from half the country. So I think you'd like the Spirit's chances here. I do. I think this is a Spirit win, and I'm saying so on FootMob, and 83% of people agree with me. What do you think? What's no injuries coming in, no concerns about international roster spots or international duty. So,
I think you got a full week's rest. So I think maybe there was some tired legs from. I know they rotated a little bit, but still travel
a week and a day. Even they get a little extra day there.
Yeah, they do.
Games. 3 road games in 10 days or whatever it was. But yeah, they've got. We were talking about DC's busy May. They've got Angel City on the 18th, Seattle Reign on the 24th. Both of these home games, and then they go on the road to play Utah, which they should win, and then back home. That's so two more games in May, and then June is a 4-game month, and they've got Courage and Gotham in that one. So Spirit are doing well. Spirit are really, really holding set, and also one assumes within a month or so they should have their new number 10 and their coach, which they don't have and haven't had. So it's just get better, I think, is the answer. It's only gonna get better from here.
It is. All right. Let's I guess that'll kind of wrap it up.
You want to? The USL W League exists. The Washington team is playing at Audi Field. I don't know how that's going to work.
Shoo!
I don't know when the games are going to be. Like what day of the week is the USLW League play on Tuesdays or something? I don't really know how this is all going to work out. But
I think it's just going to be an alternating games. I mean, we're seeing a lot of different Friday games from.
That's true. NWSL.
There's a lot of movement on the schedule, so I think there's certainly some room. And this will be like a fall to spring part. So yeah.
If yeah, we'll see. Well, I'm interested to see what the roster looks like. That will certainly color my interest. Is what kind of players are they bringing in to this league, which is ostensibly a first division competitor at NWSL. So we'll see. Interested, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think the curious thing about it is, so when the team was announced, the history behind this is the team was announced as a USLW League team, like a pre-professional type team. They were just going to play like basically what the Richmond Ivy are doing right now. They're playing during the summer,
which is what I think made the most sense.
Yeah, and then it became a Super League team, but it all kind of formed around the whole strife with like the Spirit ownership. And then I feel like maybe it was just they already got some owners involved. They got DC as, minority investors, and the wheels had kind of already started turning. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I'm kind of surprised it's gotten to this point. I kind of expected after the Spirit owners went to Michelle Kang, everybody got all that. Things may have died down, but so I don't know.
Yeah, that's
weird.
We will most likely not be covering them, is what we'll say.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, we got a lot of soccer we got to watch, guys. So
too much. Some might say. I think some would say.
Some would say too much.
I get ballots for MLS play, and you do too probably. MLS Player of the Week. I was like, I am not in a position to be informed about this. Who is? What's MLS psychos are watching all of these games on? And the answer is like maybe Jason Anderson. And like maybe
people that are paid to do it, people that literally
no, but there just are few jobs. There's so few jobs in it. Like most of the people in the North American soccer reporters are doing this as a thing, like we are, like on their side time, or they're young and like they're able to make it work, whatever. But like it's wild. Not here to complain about having to watch soccer, but there's a lot there. It would be nice if there was a little bit less.
Robin, by the way, dropping Fred Brilliant supposed to be the coach.
That's right. I forgot about that. that rules. Now I care about it again.
Yeah, maybe we'll cover it.
Yeah,
that's weird to say.
It is.
I don't know. I think a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff about the Super League just feels weird. This was supposed to be like a Division II league. Now it's a D1 league. I'm not sure what the play is. They're trying to basically they're playing on the fall to spring calendar. For those that aren't aware, like they're trying to line up with it's the European calendar. It's not there is no international calendar. There is, leagues all over the world play at different times. Like it's kind of one of the things about the sport. But this is sort of the weird thing about it. So I don't know who they're going to draw. I think it's going to depend on who they sign. Maybe this is a league that leans more international. So they bring in more international type players. Maybe they give some more international slots so they can sort of build up. Because I mean, I don't think you're going to see like U.S. women's national team players sign. Maybe some will. I don't know. It's a weird situation we got right now in women's soccer in the U.S. So I don't know. It'll be strange. All right, I think that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Patreon.com/RFK Refugees. Definitely check us out there. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Vamos.